Good morning, students. Today we are going to study a chapter in English literature, The Mind Reader. Have you ever had an experience where you read someone's mind? Or someone read yours? Tell the class about it. It means we are going to have something in this chapter that where the people could read the human mind. Next is what is the reflection of this chapter. Sometimes a person's body language and the tone of voice helps us understand what the person is thinking. Yeah, particularly our body language gives a lot of help. Make a list of such details and also say what you think they mean. It means anger, love, affection. All these things can be expressed through our body language. Imagine you are able to read your teacher's mind. Describe what you would do. So it would be very interesting if you are able to read teacher's mind. This is a Santhali tale. Tale means story from Bengal about a king who assigned means who had given a difficult task. Task means work to his trusted minister means trusted follower. A king who swore means he had taken oath by his own wisdom ruled over the tribals, Santhali family area state in a river-rich stretch of Bengal. He was every he was ever ready to wage war, convinced his mighty warriors were destined. It means that he used to have war and he used to fought very well in those wars, never to lose, and he was never defeated. He consulted Pandits, the holy people, when plotting important moves. Plotting means making plan. Moves means here the tactics or methods or plan against rival kingdoms, but often overruled their judgment. It means he used to consult the Pandits, holy people, but he did not follow their instructions. Then, to the amazement of all his subjects, subjects means public, he sent a crier. Crier means here the person who announces through his hand, offering a huge reward of grain and goats to anyone who could read his mind. So this was very surprising uh, announcement given in his kingdom. Can you guess what I am thinking? He asked one of his courtiers. Courtiers means here the attendants who swept to the ground in a deep bow but discreetly refused to answer. It means they bowed before the king, but nobody was able to answer that question. Are you mind readers? He teased the court pundits who pretended to pore over their dog eared ancient manuscripts just to dodge his questions. It means all the Pandits they were just turning the pages of the holy scriptures. Further, not many people came forward to hazard a guess. Hazard means here to take risk, even to guess about the answer, which irritated the king even more. Finally, he summoned. Summoned means called. Summon is a legal call. his divan. Divan was the special attendant, just like minister, the loyal chief minister who had served him for over 2 decades. 2 decades means for 20 years. I am going to entrust you with a job of utmost importance, declared the king. It means the king declared or said that he is going to give him an important job. Will you do your best for me? It means he was seeking the great favor of him. Divan said, haven't I always, sire? Said the Divan softly. It means he very carefully said that he had been following his instructions always. You have, Divan Mahasay, means Mosai, gentleman, replied the king. One can think of no one else who can carry this out. I want you to scan every square inch of my kingdom to find a man who can predict what's on my mind. It means he asked him to look such people in the country, in the kingdom, who could read his mind. How long I how long have I, sire? The troubled Divan asked. It means this time Divan was somewhat troubled and asked uh, how many months or how much time could he take for this work. A month from today, the king pronounced, waving the Divan out of his sight. It means the king said that just go away and take this work, and only you have to spend 1 month in this work. But no matter how hard the Divan searched, he found this genius elusive. No one in the kingdom revealed means disclosed, the faintest trace of the unusual talent the king sought means he was looking for. Finally, with just a week in hand, the Divan gave way to despair. Despair means dejection. So you can say that for a week, Divan kept on looking for such people who could disclose or who could read the king's mind, but he was dejected in a week. What is bothering you, Baba? His grown up daughter asked at breakfast. Watching the dimming light in her father's eyes, she served him from a clay pot the rice which was cooked. Earlier, the dishes were served in the pot which was made of clay. So she served him food in a clay pot, and she was noticing that he was rather disturbed and left to ferment overnight in water with a handful of shutki or dry fish. So this was the special dish which was prepared, and it had taken the time of a night. At first he huddled over his food, refusing to confide in her. It means first of all, even he refused that he had no appetite, no hunger for the food, and he wanted to uh, hide the secret. But by the last morsel, morsel means the piece of bread, the piece of food, he had told her all. It means he revealed what was demanded by the king to him. I think I can solve this problem, she said, clearing his banana leaf. Just leave it to me. It means the daughter said that perhaps she could solve the problem. On the seventh day, she brought a shepherd clad in a dusty garments to her father. I think he is perfect for the job, she announced. It means on the seventh day, she brought a shepherd clad. It means there was shepherd, the person who used to rear the sheep, and he was wearing dusty clothes, and that man was perfect for the job, the daughter announced. Aghast at her choice, it means he was terrified at her choice. He protested, means prevented, but he had no time to look for a replacement. It means no other way was left with him. So he took the shepherd to the court with him. So in this way, he took that man who used to rear the sheep to the court along with him. The shepherd looked at the king on his magnificent throne. Magnificent means here very splendid. Throne means the seat on which the king used to sit. His courtiers, the attendants, they were standing stiffly means without moving, very quietly to attention in rows, according to their ranks, means their status. He was smiling to himself. The shepherd was smiling to himself. He seemed undaunted by his surroundings. It means he was not afraid at all of the surroundings, how many people were standing over there. The king snapped his fingers. Snapped means here he was ready to attack or ready to grab him. The situation, what was over there. The shepherd looked him squarely in the eye. It means the shepherd looked directly in the eye of the king. The court staff shuffled uneasily. It means the attendants who were standing over there, they were perturbed, they were troubled. Fixing the shepherd with an icy gaze. Gaze means here look. Icy means here cold. Cold look. The king raised a single finger, quicker than a bolt or lightning. The shepherd held up two. It means when the king raised his one finger, so in response, the shepherd held up his two fingers. The king guffawed with delight. Delight means happiness. Guffawed means laughed. The courtiers around laughed too, though puzzled by the odd exchange. Although the courtiers, the attendants who were standing over there, they also laughed, but they were rather disturbed with this odd exchange. When the laughter died out, it means when they kept quiet, they stopped laughing. The king raised three fingers. The king raised three fingers. The shepherd shook his head violently, means vigorously, from side to side, then tried to flee. Flee means to run away. The court, but the sentries means here the santri, it means soldiers. Restrained means just took him back and brought him back to face the king. It means all the soldiers they took the shepherd back and they made him stand in front of the king. This is the wisest man I have ever encountered, roared the king, clapping his hands in glee. Glee means happiness. At this, the king was happy and he announced that this man is the wisest man whom I have ever encountered. Encountered means faced, and now he was clapping with happiness. He took an expensive ring off his right hand and handed it to the trembling shepherd. Now, this was the method of honoring the people who were really giving good exchange or good replies. So the king just took off his right hand ring and gave it to the trembling shepherd. Then he sent him home with 100 bags of grain and a herd of goats. Herd means the group of goats. So as he had decided the price, so this was given to the shepherd. Turning to the divan, the king said, "You are wiser than I had ever suspected." Suspected means doubted. "You have found me a genius in my own kingdom." Genius means here that the brilliant. He rewarded the minister with an expensive means very costly shawl, a kind of honor which is given on the occasion of honoring the people, just like author, poet, novelist, etc. All over with gold thread, somewhat not visible, blurry images there. Bowing the puzzled Diwan asked the king to interpret means to explain the exchange for him. It means now Diwan was happy and he wanted to know what the king had asked or said to that man, that shepherd. I held up a single finger, claiming that I was a monarch. Monarch means king, superior to all others. The king, but he didn't agree at all. It means at this, the shepherd was not going to be convinced. His two fingers told me that God ruled over everyone on earth. It means while raising two fingers, the shepherd just told me that this whole earth means the world is being ruled by God. It means, and even a king like me, even he says that this earth is not only ruled by one king, it means God as well as the king. Both they rule this earth. Oh, I didn't understand that. The Divan swallowed, amazed at the wisdom of their debate. It means Divan was not able to understand the wisdom, being surprised, and very hardly he could understand. I asked him if there was a third party that was superior to both God and I. He denied it vehemently. Vehemently means strongly. He opposed strongly. It means there was another person who was rather clever, even to both God and the king. The king said, I might be powerful, but God is even more so. Even the king realized that even he might be powerful, but God is more powerful. And no one can contest that. So it means nobody can compete God in any reference. Was that all? The minister asked. The minister asked whether it was all the things. Nodding, the king said. Nodding means agreeing, shaking his head in agreement. What a gem of a man you have found. It means you have found a brilliant person. He can truly read every though in my mind. It means every thought. The word was not clear over there. Every thought in the mind. So this was accepted by the king. Hours later, on his way home, the Divan stopped by at the shepherd's house. The king's explanations had not quite made sense to him. It means that The Diwan was not happy with the explanation of the king regarding this, so he just went to the shepherd's home and he stopped over there in order to ask. Calling the sleepy shepherd out of his hut, hut means the place where he was living, the Diwan asked, "What did our king say to you?" It means he asked him what the king said to him. The shepherd exclaimed means here said with surprise, "When you took me to that mighty king, he knew all I had in the world were my 3 sheep, no more, no less." It means he accepted that when he was taken by the one in front of the king, so he knew only what he had. It means his 3 sheep, nothing else. And so the Diwan persisted, and further Diwan asked. The king held up one finger. He was keen that I should gift one of them to him. The shepherd continued. It means the king, when he held up one finger, so that shepherd understood that he was demanding his one of the sheep. Then the shepherd continued, "Did you agree?" The minister asked. The minister then asked whether you agreed then. "He is such a wealthy man," said the shepherd. "How could I insult him by giving him just one?" So the shepherd said that the king is really very mighty, powerful, and rich person. So how could I deny, and how could I insult him by giving him only one? After all, he owns all the land as far as the eye can see. So I signaled back that I would be willing to gift him too. So in regard or in respect of the king, the shepherd said that he signaled with his 2 fingers that he is ready to give him his 2 goats. "Was he happy with your offer?" asked the minister. "Not for a minute. He made it clear that he wanted all 3 of my sheep," the shepherd explained in deep anguish. Anguish means pain. "That was such an impossible request. It would have ruined me. Ruined means destroyed me. That's why I tried to flee the court." Flee means here to run away from the court. "Are you pleased with the king's response?" said the minister. The minister said whether he was happy. Pleased means here happy. He understood what it meant to be as poor as I am. The shepherd grinned. It means very ironically, the shepherd was agreeing. Perhaps he understood that what it meant to be as poor as I am. It means he was nothing. He was also very poor, just like the shepherd. So instead of taking from me, he sent me home with all this grain and so many goats. He is a wise king indeed. It means that shepherd further explained that he, it means the king understood the situation and really he is very wise king, and that's why he sent him with all the grains and so many goats. Thank you.